Welcome this week to the channel. Well, this week I'll be showing you how to clean up a background. So this image you see on the screen is shot on a white, just plain backdrop, which is just normal paper. It was 2 meters 75 wide, and then yeah, there's the model, and we used one light. So just to give you an idea, this is the model, and the light was around, let's take a brush. So the light was probably somewhere around here. It was the indirect octa from Elinchrom, which is 1 meter 35, I think, in diameter. And it's an indirect one. So it means that the light first flashes into the softbox, and then the softbox reflects it out of the softbox, and it gets diffused twice. So once you have a bevel inside the octa box, and then you have another bevel on the outside, and that diffuses the light twice. So keep in mind when you're using this kind of light sources that the power has to be pretty high of the flashes to create enough light for this image. Now this image has been put through raw processing in Capture One. Nothing too crazy, just evened out the skin tones and stuff. But the problem we have now is as you can see, we got issues with the background. Now, normally what you could do is just use a normal healing brush and start cleaning all those patches. I'll make sure that I'm on a layer, and then like Alt and just click over it. But it would be time intensive, and I don't want to waste time when I'm retouching. So there is one way to fix this, which is you can use a filter which is called median, and it does softening, but it does softening while keeping edges, while it respects the edges which are naturally there. So what I'm gonna do now is, like, I opened it up, I'm gonna duplicate this layer by just dragging it down to this button next to the garbage can, let's say, and this I'm gonna call median. So just double click on the layer and just type in the name you want it to be, and then what I'm gonna do is go to filter, blur, noise, median. So it's filter, noise, median. Now this is a pretty processor intensive process, so it takes a lot of time to calculate the things. So what I'm gonna do now is, because I know I just want to like clean up this part on the ground, the background was fine, but you can apply it to the background in general. So what I'm gonna do now is just make a selection with the rectangular selection tool. Just make a selection of the area I want to soften, so clean up. And what I'm gonna do now is, the selection is made by just clicking, holding down your mouse, and just letting go. What I'm gonna do now is filter, noise, median. And in median, you're gonna put the radius to an amount that you still have the edges from the model or from the subject you're trying to fix, but making sure that you still have the edges from the model. But keep in mind that when you're doing this, that all the stuff, all the messy stuff, the footsteps, all the things are gone on the image. So I'm just gonna hit OK. And now, as you can see, the effect is applied to the entire image, but I want to apply it only to the white paper. So I'm gonna put a layer mask on top of this layer. So I'm gonna first deselect. So what I'm gonna do is select, deselect, or just hit Ctrl D, Command D on a Mac. And then what I'm gonna do is put a layer mask on top of it. Now, white reveals, black conceals. That's something we normally say when we're talking about layer masks. And I'm gonna put a layer mask on here by just clicking there. Now it's a white layer mask, and we want to have a black layer mask because we want to mask in the, we want to paint over the messy stuff to remove it from the picture. Now there are two ways. What you can do is like push on your keyboard Ctrl or Command I, and then you will see that the layer mask changes to black. Now, if you don't know how to do this, or you forgot the shortcuts, what you can do is go to Image, Adjustments. Not sure if this is the one. Yeah, Invert. So image, adjustments, invert. And then you will see that you have a black layer mask. Now on top of this, we want to be painting with white. So I'm gonna take a soft brush, so opacity 100%, flow around 40-ish, smoothing is 0. So what I'm gonna do is zoom in, and then I'm just gonna start. Make sure that your foreground color is set to white, because if you do this and you just paint and you don't see anything changing, that is because we're painting with black on black, so we will not see it. Now we want to paint with white, so make sure that your color is set to white, or just click on this little icon here which sets the default colors back to white and black. And then you just slightly start painting in the smudges to make sure that you don't have anything crazy going on. So just paint over it. Zoom in a bit so that you don't go over the edges, because then you will see that you start to lose the edges, but just go near them and that should just be fine. Make sure to seriously zoom in, because if you don't zoom in, you will see that you forget some spots on the picture. Now if we zoom out again and we hold down Alt and Shift, so if we zoom out and we hold down Alt and Shift, you can see the layer mask we have just painted. So I'm gonna clean up the mask a bit, so make sure that this part is cleaned. It doesn't have to be exact, it's just to give you an idea. Like, let's see what it says when we zoom in now, like before, after. Now the trick to make sure that you sell this retouch, like you don't want people to go like, yeah, he used that kind of technique. The thing about that is that you have to put some extra noise on top of the image. So what we're gonna do now is make a new layer. So go to layer, new layer, and on top of that we're just gonna say okay. I'm gonna call this noise, and on the noise layer we're gonna fill this layer with 50% gray, put the blend mode to soft light and hit OK. Now because I checked preserve transparency, you don't see anything happen, so make sure that you uncheck the preserve transparency. There you go, and then you change the blend mode to soft light. You're gonna zoom in and make sure that on this part you go to filter, noise, add noise, but make sure that you check monochromatic, and that the amount of noise you're gonna add should be almost the same like the amount you had in the original one. So I'm just gonna hit OK. But now we added noise to the entire image. We just want to add noise to the part we have painted in the median layer. So we're gonna create a clipping mask, which is just you telling Photoshop to like apply this noise only to this part we have painted in. So you can create a clipping mask by just right clicking and saying create clipping mask, and you will see the little arrow which says that the noise is only applied to this painted part in the layer mask. What else you can do is just hold down the Alt key, and then you will see this icon appear. Just hold down Alt and then you just clip it without doing the right click, and it does the same thing. So this is just clean up background steps. So that's one of the first things you can do when you want to seriously clean up a background. So what did we do? We first duplicated the layer we want to adjust. We made a selection around the part we want to apply the cleaning. We went to filter, noise median. We applied the median filter, which a radius that allows you to make everything be gone, so to remove all the footsteps, all the dirt on the background. And then we added noise on top of that to make sure that the things we've painted in, we smoothened out, are looking realistic compared to the noise that is in the original image. So this is it for this week's channel update, and try it out. Make sure to do some testing with the median filter with high radius, low radius, and hope this helps you out when you're retouching images and you have dirty backgrounds. That's it for now. Ciao, ciao.